Blake Belladonna, Lai Ren. These two have a lot in common, and they are an example of a very interesting social phenomenon that is known as when you are introverted enough, eventually a extrovert will kidnap you and force you into a friend group. Now, since the rest of their friend group is going about their business in this little playlist we've invented, it's only fair that we, bring them along. So, today, we're going to be looking at how they stack up against one another, taking into account their semblances, their armor of any kind, and just overall powers, feats, everything. So, starting off with Ren. Ren is quite difficult because he does not have very much of anything, really. In the first 3 volumes, he is obviously very competent and is shown to be quite capable. However, his first main feat is fighting the King Taijitsu by himself, which puts him above anything Blake does in the first 2 volumes, I would say. However, then once you bring into Volume 3, it becomes a different discussion, because in Volume 3, he's able to damage the Paladins. Now, the Paladins, fully modeled, were able to give all kinds of students trouble, including people like Koko, Yatsuhashi, and other students participating in the Vital Festival. Now, Ren was able to, not completely successfully fight off these Paladins, but he was able to stagger their movements and take some hits from them. Now, that is pretty much for feats. As I have said before, he is relatively featless, and that also brings into his actual character. See, in his character, he is relatively silent and in the background. Now, what kind of semblance could accompany this very quiet and in the background like character? Well, his semblance allows him to mask his emotions, making him completely not invulnerable, but relatively indetectable towards Grimm, and it makes him extremely hard to see or notice for Grimm, which allows him to get to jump on them very easily, and also allows him to keep himself calm and others calm in any sort of situation. Now, we're going to be moving on to his competition. His competition today is Blake. Blake, as I stated, does not have very many feats. However, she was able to body Roman Torchwick in their brief altercation, and she then later went on to fight against a Paladin and other White Fang members. Now, once again, that's nothing too crazy, but we can obviously scale them to people who they should be relative to. Now, both of them should be relative to the rest of the members of their team, with the exception of Pyrrha. Now, this would put Volume 3 Blake, I would say, above Ren. This is just due to the fact that A, she has a better semblance. Now, let's talk about that semblance. Her semblance is, of course, Shadow Clone. And unfortunately, she does not scream Datebeo and make thousands of herself. Instead, she just makes a clone, which allows her to be able to dodge attacks and intercept whenever anything is needed. She can also use Dust, which is technically an outside factor because she doesn't carry that in her standard arsenal, but it is notable that she can infuse Dust into her clones to make them different. Now, that's really all I can say too much on this matchup. Once again, these characters, there is almost nothing for them. Like, she lost the brief altercation to Adam but bodied Roman, and Ren completely bodied the King Taijitsu and was able to scrap with the Paladins for a little bit. Like, there's not many feats And on top of that, their outside material typically doesn't have them in very much of a combat setting, or definitely a high intensity combat setting where we can really scale them. However, if I have to break it down, I think Blake is going to win this. She has a better semblance, and while her weapon, I would argue, is not as proficient in multiple different ways of combat, I would still say that it's, good enough where Ren has no distinct advantage in this matchup. So I would just have to give it to Blake. Alrighty, that is the entire video. Now, I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you subscribe and maybe comment down if you have a different opinion on this matchup. And I hope you look forward to Nora versus Yang, and then finally we'll be going over Juniper versus Team Ruby. So I'll be excited for that. Another thing I would like to add is I do have a TikTok now where you can get access to my videos a little bit earlier. So make sure to check that out along with my Twitter. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day, folks.